Greetings, friends. I'm AK.
And I'm Laura.
And we are
The Chainsaw Girls. On today's episode, we are heading into SUMMERWEEN. Okay, maybe it's a little early, but we're getting there.
It's never too early.
Okay, and it's slasher season, slasher summer. So we are covering 1997's I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I'm so excited. This was such a nostalgic film for me, or I should say is a nostalgic film for me. And it's timely because at least at the time of this recording, the new I Know What You Did Last Summer is set to come out this summer, I believe in July.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I didn't particularly enjoy the TV show that came out in 2021.
I didn't even know there was one.
Yes.
I'm behind.
But I am excited for this new. Is it a reboot or is it a sequel?
I'm actually looking it up right now to figure that out. So I will let you know in a second.
I think Jennifer Love Hewitt might be in it. Jennifer Love Hewitt is our main gal, Julie, and I'm pretty sure she is in the new one as well.
Yes.
While you look that up, I'm going to go ahead and read the IMDb.
Please do.
4 young friends bound by a tragic accident are reunited when they find themselves being stalked by a hook-wielding maniac in their small seaside town.
What was one of the taglines? Like, he's got a hook on them or something?
Yeah, he's got a hook on you. Hold on, I got it here.
Did you just hear my stomach?
I totally did just hear
I don't
your
think
stomach.
it picked up on the mic, though.
I don't think so either.
That's fine.
I don't know. I can't find the tagline. Apologies.
Well,
he's got a hook on them.
There we go. The upcoming film is going to be a legacy sequel.
Ooh.
So it is a continuation of the original franchise, not a reboot. And Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. are supposed to be back.
Fun.
Very exciting.
Oh, I love that. That's great. This was written by Kevin Williamson, who, I've gushed about him
Yes.
a million times. He wrote Scream. He also wrote one of my favorite TV shows of all time, which I'm in the middle of rebinging, The Vampire Diaries.
I need to get into that because you really put it over huge.
Dude, I am so obsessed. I'm wearing my daylight ring right now. This is Elena's ring.
I remember that only from our Near Dark episode. I think you were, or maybe it was a different vampire movie we were covering.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a Vampire Diary obsession. I am Team Stefan all the way for anyone that watches.
Now, I Know What You Did Last Summer was based on a novel.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have information about that, or you want me
No.
to go into it? Okay.
Yeah, please.
So it was under the same name.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm.
From 1973. And it was a young adult novel. So that's interesting to me. I guess this movie, I just realized our toes are touching. I was like, what is touching my foot? And then I can see your foot moving. Our toes are touching on the couch, but you can't see because we both have blankets on.
Dude, and I'm always like, one thing about me is I always have to be moving a body part. And right now it happens to be my toe.
You like cricket your feet, right?
I do.
Like this? Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so soothing. I do that shit all the time.
It is soothing.
Anyway, yes, it's a young adult novel, which I was like, oh, I wouldn't have guessed that based on the movie, but I guess the movie isn't too gory per se.
It's not gory at all.
But also watching it back, I was like, okay, like there's definitely a lot of violence, obviously.
So this was directed by Jim Gillespie, and he purposely didn't want it to be overly grotesque and bloody. They did, however, go in and apparently digitally added blood. And then they also, from my understanding, added in the scene of Max getting hooked when he's like cleaning fish and shit.
Oh yeah, that scene is graphic.
Yeah, and I believe that was it was added in because yeah, we watched it last night. It isn't very, I wouldn't call it gory at all.
No, but I think that's also why the Max scene, for example, surprised me. I was
it
like,
stands out.
Yeah, because it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Which we will get into.
Absolutely. So please tell me more about the book.
Oh, that's all I know.
Oh, okay. I do know that all the characters survive in the book, which is different.
That makes more sense for a young adult novel, in my mind anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I guess like apart from them hitting someone with their car, the plot is almost completely different from the original novel.
Oh.
In the novel, they did not hit a fisherman. They hit a young boy who was the brother of one of Helen's new friends.
Okay.
Also, nobody dies in the book. Barry is shot with a gun but survives, and Julie comes to a close encounter and was almost choked by Collie, the boy's brother, but Ray hits him with a flashlight. So it is different. I
But the
guess.
character names are the same too.
I believe the character names are the same.
Okay.
Yep,
I do want to
exactly.
mention also before I forget, at the time of this recording, this is available on Netflix.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did
Yeah.
watch it on Netflix, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other fun facts before we dive into it?
I think we should just start going and then I'll look for through my notes here. I'll pull up some fun facts as we continue on.
Yeah, and we can add stuff on at the end too.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we open the movie with an overhead shot of a winding road along a coast.
Yes. Oh, and I believe this winding road was actually the same winding road from the movie The Birds,
Oh,
which I freaking love that movie.
that is a fun fact.
yes.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning we were like, wait, where is this? Is this in Maine? I think we were saying because there's fishermen, and that's when I think of a coast and I think of, I don't know, crabs and lobsters and stuff. I think of Maine.
Yeah.
But this was in North Carolina.
Yes.
We find out.
Mm-hmm.
We see a guy. He's sitting on the edge of this cliff, like feet dangling. He's drinking. He's playing with this like very particular looking metal medallion thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a keychain. I couldn't really figure out what it was.
Maybe a compass?
I don't think it was.
I don't know. I'm just guessing here.
He was like spinning the piece of metal. I have no idea what it was.
A keepsake. Let's just call it. It's a
Sure.
keepsake.
If anyone else knows what it was, please let us know. I'm so curious. I couldn't find it. I just keep calling it a keychain.
Yeah, it's a keepsake.
It's like a random thing.
Yeah.
So he's doesn't seem to be doing well. He's definitely drunk.
I would say if you're sitting on the edge of a cliff with a keepsake and your hammer, it's probably not good.
Yeah, looking at it longingly. Something else is going on.
Yeah.
And he's looking down into the rocky waters below. So
Yikes.
yikes. Yeah, yikes on a bike.
Mm-hmm.
If we cut to a festival after that, and there's fireworks, there's people in the streets.
Right.
There's
It's 4th of July.
4th of July, yes. And there's a beauty pageant going on.
Beauty pageants are so interesting to me.
Interesting is a good word, a good neutral word to use.
Yeah, like I mean, it could never be me, but I do find it interesting that I don't like kids pageants. I think that's really strange. But if you're like a young adult and it's something you want to do, whatever.
Sure.
I didn't follow her, but I saw a girl on TikTok. She was a pageant gal. And I don't know that she does it anymore, but she talked about all the things she learned from doing pageants. And one of them was like public speaking.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting because I never really put too much thought into it. But I guess you would have to learn like how to have presence and carry yourself and be really confident.
And perform.
Yeah,
it's definitely a performance.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so good things can come out of it for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And so we see our first main character, which is Sarah Michelle Gellar, who plays Helen.
Yes. And this was during Buffy. I believe they just wrapped the very first season and we're going into the second.
Yeah, we have some big hitters in this movie, like right off the bat.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so Sarah Michelle Gellar, we have Jennifer Love Hewitt, who plays Julie. We have Freddie Prinze Jr., who plays Ray. This was the era of everyone having 3 names.
No, for real.
Except Ryan Felipe. Do you
I
say
know.
Felipe or do you pronounce it differently? Because I don't know the correct way to say it.
I think I say Felipe.
Felipe?
I
Okay.
think so, but I don't know if that's the correct version. Can I tell you something about Ryan Felipe, whatever.
Now we don't know how we say it.
When I first saw Cruel Intentions, I think I was like 12, maybe 13. And it was like, I was about to say a sexual awakening, but that sounds so insane.
No, it was for a lot of people.
But literally, like, I thought, and I still do, he is such a smoke show. But in that movie, Cruel Intentions, as Sebastian, in this movie, he's just very angry.
Oh my gosh.
He is pissed. He is at a 10 the whole movie.
The entire time, blind rage.
Yes. But in Cruel Intentions, oh boy.
That was a lot of people's sexual awakening. That was a lot of people's like bisexual awakening.
Sure.
A lot of things were going on in that movie. That movie, Cruel Intentions, was forbidden for me for a long time. I did not see it as a kid, so I didn't get to have that moment.
I watched it with my best friend Shlee. And then I'm pretty sure we watched it several times after that. And that was when Sarah Michelle Gellar was Buffy and her playing that character. I'm totally going off script here, but
No, it's relating to the characters here.
like her character was just so opposite of what Buffy was,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
don't know. I think there's some background there, but I never deep dived into it. But
And so here, do you think that Helen is kind of in the middle then? Or is she more on the side of like Cruel Intentions? I forget her name there.
I think she's like a better person in this for sure.
Okay.
She's not manipulative,
No, she's definitely full of herself and they make that very clear.
for sure.
But I don't think it necessarily makes her a bad person.
No, I don't think she's intentionally like mean.
Yeah, she's just a little superficial. I mean, she's what? They are just graduating high school.
Probably all 18.
Yeah, she's in beauty pageants. Obviously she's going to be focused on her looks.
Yeah,
But you know, we'll see more about her in a little bit.
for sure. And actually, Jennifer Love Hewitt was 18 when they filmed this.
Yeah, she was a little baby.
That's crazy.
And so Barry is who Ryan Felipe plays. Barry, Julie, and Ray are all looking on while Helen is in this beauty pageant.
Mm-hmm.
And she wins.
She does.
I wrote Helen wins.
She wants to be an actress.
Yeah.
She's going to move to New York City and be an actress. And she'll serve the country by art.
Yes. And so we cut to a party after this.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote, we see Veronica Vaughn from Billy Madison, who is Bridget Wilson.
I love that you immediately pointed that out. I was like, oh my God, that's one of my favorite movies.
She will always be Veronica Vaughn and Sonia Blade to me. Always.
Yeah. Oh my God, I loved Sonia. I
Oh my
wanted to be
gosh.
her.
Same. And so she's playing Elsa. Is it Shivers or just Shiver?
I think it's Shivers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she is, I didn't realize this at first until way later in the movie, but this is Helen's sister.
Yeah.
They cross paths, and I thought it was just like Helen's enemy because
Mhm.
they do not like each other, or they seem to not get along.
It's like Sybil rivalry.
Sibling rivalry.
Did I just say Sybil? Listen, guys, it's the first recording of The Loop, all right?
Yes. I was gonna say it's not civil at all. If you said civil, sibling rivalry for sure.
Yeah.
But we also see another well-known actor here in passing, who is Johnny Galecki from Big Bang Theory, and also Roseanne.
Roseanne, that's whom I know him from.
That's when I first met him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you were introduced to him.
Yes. There we go.
Okay, so this John, what is his name? John Galecki?
Yeah. I wrote Johnny Galecki. I think that's just what I found when I was looking it up really quick.
Yeah, because I've seen that. I've seen him been referred to Johnny. So his name in this movie is Max, and he is super into Julie. In a way, like, to me, he came across like a complete weirdo, and I think that was done heavy-handedly on purpose.
A lot of the characters I think are a little heavy-handed in this movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially like adding like suspense to each character or whatever. But I think he like brings her a shot, like a shooter. And she's kind of like, nah, I'm not really into it. Barry just comes along and like he like shoves Max. Like he pushes Max and Max like falls on his ass.
Yeah, so right away they are showing you Barry has a lot of rage, and we're going to see that throughout the entire movie.
Dude, that was such an overreaction to Max asking her out. Now, mind you, we don't know the backstory. Maybe Max has been hounding her for like months.
Right.
You know, we don't know.
Right.
But I also think that's just an excuse for Barry to be violent.
Yes, and based on what we will see going forward, I absolutely agree with that. That Barry just he loves violence, okay?
Dude, my first note is Barry definitely has some anger and control issues.
Barry 100% punches drywall.
Oh my God. He's totally that guy that when you're in an argument with him, all of a sudden it's like he's definitely wrong, but then he tries to make you feel like you're wrong.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
it escalates to a point that he starts throwing things and you're like, okay, I'm checked out.
Barry is definitely one of those guys who sees red, bro.
I can't.
Barry is one of those guys that tells everyone he trains UFC, but really he has never done any martial arts ever in his life. Maybe did karate for like a week as a kid.
Dude, you are perfectly describing Barry.
That is who Barry is, so just strap in and strap on, okay?
And apparently, originally, they wanted a large, like a 6'5" football-esque jock-looking actor for this role. However, Ryan was A-list at this point, and I think that he just had an edge on getting the part. And I think he does play it like, I mean, he is very aggressive.
He's very memorable, that's for sure.
Yeah, he really stands out. I feel like every scene they're like, hey, Ryan, hey, a little angrier.
Yeah, just take it to an 11.
Yeah, just get as angry as you can.
Yeah, he goes from 0 to 100 like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So now the four of them decide to go on a drunken drive down that same winding road we saw on the coast earlier.
Yes, and the music playing in their car, literally on the closed captioning said DUI as like whoever the artist was.
Yeah, I didn't catch the artist's name, but it was DUI was the name of the song.
Yes.
I'm like,
which
you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So they go to this part on the beach and they're having a little fire. Julie, Helen, Barry, and Ray are now telling ghost stories / urban legends.
Urban legends, yes.
Yeah.
And they're all telling the same story, but different versions of it.
Yeah, they're like arguing about the details.
100%. And it's like an urban legend about like a hook man.
Yeah, like they're like, no, it's the hook gets found in the door. No, the hook is this and the hook is his hand, and they're arguing about the little details. And Ray tells them, look, all these urban legends, they come from some true event,
Right.
which will come into play later.
Yes. And we were just talking about yesterday, like how AK and we're discussing like if we're beach people.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a beach person. Like I am very much not a beach person. AK is like in the middle.
Yes.
She could go to the beach or not go to the beach. But we both agreed the beach at night,
Mm-hmm.
when you like have like shorts on and a light hoodie and there's a bonfire going and you have s'mores and like you're all just hanging out and maybe you go and put your feet in the water.
Yes.
Dude, epic, love it.
I love putting my feet in the sand. We were talking about this,
Yeah,
yesterday.
yesterday.
And one thing I realized is I like the beach at night.
Dude, yes.
Because it's the sun cooking me that I'm not a fan of.
I feel so gross when I leave the beach.
And you're like sticky and sweaty.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know why anyone would want to sit in sand.
I do love the sand. I love the sand, but I mean, we're gonna see that Julie and Ray probably hook up here.
Not probably. They absolutely are hooking up in that sand.
And I'm like, not in the sand.
Dude, it's getting in all the cracks. No way.
No. Like, okay, have you ever gone swimming in the ocean or like just gotten in the ocean? I know you don't like the ocean, but maybe as like a kid or something. And when you go home and shower, you're like, how did sand get in my bottoms?
No, for real.
Like,
it's everywhere.
No.
I'm not a fan. No.
I am not getting sand in my vagina. Absolutely not.
Not a chance, dude. Not a chance. No way. That does not seem enjoyable. At least put a big blanket out or something.
Even
then, I have no desire for that.
Like, look, we can like lay on the beach and make out or something.
100%. That's hot. I'm into that.
But not. It's the sand in the vagina for me.
Me too. And in your ass crack and shit. No thanks. I'm good. You know what I mean?
The ass crack is one thing because I feel like you can get it out. But in my mind, if you get sand in your vagina, it's never coming out. Maybe that's not true.
It lives there forever. It turns into a pearl.
Yeah. What the fuck? Not a clam. Not a real life clam. Holy shit. Okay, anyway, sorry.
Let's get back to the movie. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So, oh, fun fact. I did look this up. So Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. did meet on the set.
Isn't that so cute? And they're still married.
I love that.
I love it so much. Okay, so Helen is like talking about what she wants to do when she like grows up or whatever. She talks about going to Europe with Barry, having 3 kids. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And him going to rehab.
Yeah.
She also talks about being on a soap opera. And she actually was on, I think she talks about being on Guiding Light or something like that. But Sarah Michelle Gellar was on All My Children.
Oh, that's funny.
And actually, Ryan Felipe, he was on, and he was also, I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but he was also in a soap opera when he was young.
Yeah. And so they've broken off into pairs, by the way. So that's why Julie and Ray, they're going to end up hooking up. And then, yeah, Helen and Barry are off saying these things to each other. And Julie is telling Ray that she's going to miss him because she's going to Boston after high school, is what she tells him.
Right, yes. They're talking about, like, what's going to happen next. And she's like, oh, you're going to meet some, like, I don't know.
Oh, I wrote it down.
Okay, please,
because
can you
was
say
like,
it word for word?
She's like, and I guess I can't say this is an exact quote, but it's very, very close. She's like, you're going to fall for some head-shaven, black-wearing, tattoo-covered philosophy student. And he's like, that's attractive. And I wrote, is he being sarcastic? Because that is a vibe.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
But in 97, there was kind of more of a cookie cutter image for what was quote unquote attractive, I guess.
No, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Especially on TV.
Mm-hmm. What the hell just happened? Hold on.
I was going to start laughing because I know we were both looking at our notes. And I'm like, you know what? I need to clear my throat anyway.
I have to like dab my nose.
Perfect.
So this is working. I'm going to try to stop going so off topic so we can.
But no, like, I know, but also I like it.
I like it too. I don't want this episode to be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to
but
be.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah.
If it happens, it happens.
No, that's true. Okay, sorry. All right.
Because like if they want to just know what happens in the movie, they can look at fucking Wikipedia. Okay, so now they all are going to drive away.
Mm-hmm.
And can I just say, I was almost not going to say it, but I have to say it. That this scene is shot almost.
I fucking knew it was coming.
This is almost scene for scene. They did this in Scary Movie, almost scene for scene. So when I'm watching this back, I'm just laughing because I can't not think of the parody version.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. So,
It is funny, to be fair. Actually, that's the one thing I remembered about Scary Movie 2. It's part 2, right?
no, it's the first
Oh,
one.
it's the first
Yeah,
one.
it's the first one. So, Barry is so drunk here. He's like turning up the music. He
Yeah,
goes out the
he
sunroof.
also wants to drive. He
Oh
fights
yeah.
for the keys, and he's like, "No one drives my car."
Oh
And
yeah. It's
they
his
event
dad's car.
it's his dad's car, yeah. And then eventually he does give the keys to Ray, and
Mhm.
he is so unhinged, and he's the type of obnoxious drunk. Like, first of all, I mean, I don't drink.
Yeah.
If you want to drink, cool, I don't care.
Yeah.
But when people are super intoxicated and belligerent, I cannot take it.
No,
It's not fun.
I spent many years being the designated driver for my friends. I think
Mhm.
it's mostly because I wanted to like be in control and like, have my wits about me, and I felt like I had to fight people for them because I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be the fighter in the group. But dealing with friends that you have to babysit and literally drag out of places and go, "No, don't make out with that stranger in an alley."
Oh.
Get in the car, get in the car. Oh my gosh, I've gotten into fights with friends for being so belligerent. I know we just said we're gonna stop going off topic, but I'm like, no, I want to tell this story. There was a time where it'll be short. There was a time where I had to scream. The only time I've ever in my life screamed at one of my friends was because she literally ran off with some random guy. We were on a trip up north in Michigan. We were going to like Mackinac Island, me and two other friends. She got drunk, made out with this random guy. We're like, girl, he's not cute. I'm trying to tell you, he's not. Like, I'm not trying to be shitty, but you try to protect your friends.
Of
You're like,
course.
I know that you're making this decision.
Drunk goggles are a thing.
I know that you're doing this because you're drunk, and I'm trying to like prevent you from making bad decisions. So we turn away, we turn back, she's gone. Okay. We drove around this parking lot trying to find her. It's like a bar that's also in a parking lot of like a motel. Like it was so scary. And we're like
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere up north. And we finally found her. She's like around the corner making out with this guy. I'm like, get in the fucking car. I was so mad. I was screaming at her when she got in the car.
Yeah, because you're babysitting at that point.
She could have gotten killed.
1,000,000%.
Like, or whatever could have happened to her. I was so mad. It is the only time I've ever screamed at a friend.
And I feel like she deserved to be screamed at
She
because
did.
maybe it knocked some sense into her.
I stand by that. But anyway, babysitting drunk people is really fucking annoying.
I can't take it. I just find them to be so annoying. Just like, please stop talking to me.
Yeah. And Barry, he's, like I said, turning up the music, going out the sunroof. He has a bottle of liquor. He's spilling it everywhere. He distracts Ray, who is driving. And
Yeah, because he drops the bottle onto Ray and it like onto the, floor of the car.
It's one of those big bottles, like a Jack bottle.
Like a Jack bottle. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
And Ray turns away for 1 second, turns back, boom, something hits the windshield.
And flies up and hits Barry.
Yeah,
in
and
the
so
head.
we were wondering if Barry got like cut, but he
Just got the blood of the
Yeah.
body that hit it.
He was like, "This is not my blood," and so.
But it is pretty funny that the guy like hit the windshield and then hit Barry, who's had his head out the sunroof.
Yeah, like, what do you think is gonna happen?
Yeah.
And so they go outside and they're like, they
What
don't.
did you think was gonna happen?
What did you think was gonna
Barry.
happen? Obviously, a body was gonna hit your car and fly into your face. I was thinking more like, you're doing something reckless. Something reckless is going to happen.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. That was so funny. Okay.
So now they go outside. They don't know what they hit. Was it an animal? Was it?
Yeah, they keep saying they're like it's a deer, and Julie's like, well, where is it? Where's the deer? She like I understand like Julie's supposed to be like kind of the goody two shoe, like the more
Yeah.
she's the morally like sound character, right? The rest of them are pretty gray.
Right.
And but even Ray, he's got some weird choices here. But like Julie immediately is like, guys,
Yeah.
like she is just.
Which I have to say, I've never hit anyone with my car, so I don't know how I'd react. But I do think they all play a different. They all have a different reaction here.
Yes.
They're all different, right?
Yes, for sure. She just like, I wish because of her character and the way they introduced her, I wish she would have stuck by her guns and not went along with their whole.
And been a little more insistent, like, no, we have to call the cops.
Yeah, like she came across like whiny instead of like, guys, this is so
Yeah.
fucked up. I don't care what you guys do, but I'm going to talk to the cop. I don't care.
Yeah.
And they have like a whole discussion right now of like what's happened, and they haven't discovered the body yet.
Right.
So they're sort of just like kind of, oh, it was nothing. One of them wants to leave, right? And then Julie finds a boot. Is it Julie that finds the boot?
I think so.
Oh my God, tell me about
No, no,
Scary
no, no.
Movie. Come
I'm
on.
not gonna say it.
Yeah, I can see it. You want to so badly, so tell me.
Okay, Shannon Elizabeth's character is supposed to be Helen. Her name is Buffy in Scary Movie, which I didn't even connect that until we were just watching this. And then she's like, I found a boot. And then who's supposed to be Barry? He's like, where's the foot? That's all I could think of this entire time. I'm sorry, continue.
No. So Julie finds this boot and they realize that they probably hit a man,
Yeah.
essentially. And they did, obviously. There's a quote unquote dead fisherman.
Yeah, someone's in the road. He's not moving.
Yes. And Ray is like, well, I got to go check his like pulse.
Yeah.
And he does, and then turns around and it's just straight up like he's dead.
Yeah.
So Ray, obviously, not too skilled on taking the pulse of a human.
Yeah, I don't know where he learned how to do that or if he ever did, but he didn't.
Like, imagine if he just like went like this to his body instead of like an
like a random place.
Yeah, like he's just like dead.
He's dead. But yeah, they all start freaking out. I mean, rightfully so.
And Barry immediately just starts projecting onto the dead guy. He's like, well, why was he walking in the road?
I know,
like, it
of
was
course.
just so. And they're arguing about calling the police.
Yeah, and Barry's, of course, also concerned about his dad's car.
And to be honest, it does look bad.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Ray stinks like booze now because the bottle fell on him.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Barry is completely intoxicated.
Yeah,
I would say Julie's sober.
probably.
And Helen, I would say, is buzzed. I don't think Helen's like wasted.
No, I would assume they've all consumed alcohol. They're all underage. They're worried about that.
Yeah.
They're like, this is going to ruin your college career. You're not going to go to Boston now, Julie.
Yeah, because Julie's arguing she wants to call the police.
Right.
She's like, we have to go to the police. We have to go to the police.
At
Go
one
ahead, go
point,
ahead.
Freddie Prinze Jr., Ray, he's like, we're all going to get fried for this no matter who takes the fall.
I know,
And we
it's
were
so
like,
dramatic.
"What?"
And first of all, he starts it off with, well, it's manslaughter either way.
Yeah, we're
Like,
going
you're
to fry
not
for it.
You're not gonna fry for manslaughter.
No, and
not that
also-
I'm not well versed in the laws of North Carolina, but
Well, I looked it up because I was curious. And so North Carolina has not had the electric chair. They do have the death penalty still to this day.
yeah.
But they have not had the electric chair since like 1983.
Dude, remember last night when we were Googling like firing squads?
Oh, yeah.
There are still some states that use firing squads.
That's wild. That's a topic for another day.
Mississippi, Oklahoma.
Of course.
There's like 6 of them.
That doesn't surprise me that it would be one of those states, not gonna lie. But yes, so it was just it felt so dramatic when he said that I had to look it up.
Oh, I was like crying, laughing. Both of us were like, "What? You're gonna fry?"
Yeah.
And they're all freaking out. They don't know what to do.
Yes.
They decide the best thing they should do is to dump the body.
Yeah. Ray also says here, and it's important to note that he's like, I have no money and I have no family to get me out of this like the rest of you do. So they all kind of come from a wealthy background, it sounds like.
Except for
and
Ray.
Ray does not.
Because Ray's dad is a fisherman.
Right. Ray's dad is a fisherman. Before they go to dump the body, another car comes down the road.
Oh, yes, Max.
And it's Max. Okay. And I think here I turned to you because I actually forgot what the ending of this movie was.
Okay, we'll get into how and why you probably forgot the ending of this movie. But
yes. But here I turned to Laura and I was like, okay, Max is the killer, right? And she just shook her head no, but they're trying to make you think probably here that he is because every time we see him,
he's
sus. He has a crush on Julie. He's mad.
And he's
Barry,
like, he's super shitty to Ray here.
He's shitty to Ray. Barry would like pushed him at the party, so he has a reason to not like any of them. It's very clear here he does not like Ray.
Oh, absolutely, because Ray's dating Julie, or they're seeing each other. And Barry pretends to be like throwing up at the side of the road, and that's how they kind of get Max to
leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, Max is so creepier. He's like having car trouble. Ooh, Daddy's gonna be mad.
It's
like,
so weird. I know, it's so weird. So Max drives off after being a complete dick. Ray. So now they're talking about dumping the body, right? And Ray is like, guys, you know what? Don't worry. If the body washes up, it'll be eaten by crabs and small fish.
Like, why is that so specific?
Is that what you're counting on?
And then he was like, a shark if we're lucky.
Like that's what you're hoping for?
It was just saying small fish feels so specific. I don't know why that was funny to me.
No, for real. And actually, like, their whole idea of dumping the body just made what happened a million times worse.
Right.
You know, because now it quite possibly could have been manslaughter. especially if, but I don't know, because if they do a breathalyzer or a blood test on the driver, it would show that he has alcohol in his system.
Mhm.
So perhaps it wouldn't be manslaughter. It could be even worse. It could have been, right?
Yeah, I'm not really well versed in what makes it second
Same.
degree, first degree, and all that.
I just think that their decision to dump the body
Oh, yeah, way worse.
is way worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it wasn't just an accident that they might be able to look at as an accident.
Now
Now,
you've tacked on
yeah,
breaking more laws.
you're intentionally hiding a body and all that other stuff. It's just not good. Let's just put it that way, not good.
It ain't good. Yeah.
The judge is like, my ruling is not good.
It ain't good. So they do dump the body, but
Yes.
but before he like goes into the water, he grabs onto what is it, the girl? Helen, and he takes her crown.
Yeah.
And Barry fights him off.
Right. At first I laughed because she's like, "Oh my gosh, my crown." But then I was like, "Okay,
We did talk about it. We were like, at first we said the same, both of us. We're like, "Oh my God, really, girl?"
Yeah.
Like,
But
but it's evidence.
that's going to link that body directly to you. So yeah, you should go get that.
For sure. But the fact
Not
that
that I'm condoning this.
the body came alive and they
The
just
body
like
came alive.
they just like beat him back into the water. It's like this was your
Yes.
opportunity to pull him out and be like,
So
whatever.
he literally jolts up and they shove him into the water, which you could say, okay, that was just commotion. But now you know he was alive and you're just letting him now drown for real.
Oh, yeah, it's bad.
So now you are murdering this man, just to be clear.
So like Julie being like the moral superior of all of them, you're still
yeah.
accessory to murder and accessory to covering up the murder.
Right. And so as they're doing this, Julie also notices a tattoo on him.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't remember exactly what it was. I thought it was an anchor, but then someone said maybe it was a snake. I don't remember, but he has a very specific tattoo.
Mm-hmm. It's like,
And,
what is it? Is this where you see the name?
Yes.
Is it Sherry?
I want to say Susie. Hold on. Let's
I
look
think
it up.
I think it is Susie. I think you're
Let me
right.
look it up because that's going to drive me crazy to
I'm
know.
pretty sure it's Susie. I think you're right. So yeah, Barry jumps in the water. He's like, "Don't worry, I got your crown, girl." And then he grabs a crown, but when he grabs it, he sees the body and the body's eyes open.
Yes.
And Barry is like, "Ah," and gets out of the water. Again, an opportunity to save this man, but chose not to.
Yeah.
And when Barry gets out of the water, he tells the group that they have to make a pact to take this to the grave.
Mm-hmm.
And they all start to agree, except for Julie. And Barry full on like attacks her and like starts choking her. And he's like, say it, say you agree, say you agree. And finally, Julie's like, "Yes, Barry."
He chokes her up.
I know, dude.
Meanwhile, Ray is just standing there staring at him, not doing anything. Like, defend your woman.
I'm telling you, I could not with a guy like that.
That would be grounds for an immediate breakup.
You're done.
You think I'm gonna fuck you after that?
You're not even gonna protect me?
Are you kidding?
Well, first of all, I mean, listen, they're all very troubled. It's
And
pretty
they're
obvious.
kids.
They're kids, but still,
still.
no, dude. If some guy
Absolutely.
is choking your girl, you better step up, man.
There's
Even
no
if you're
way.
gonna get an ass beating.
Yeah.
Just like Leon in fucking Pin. Remember how mad I was
Uh-huh.
that he like didn't stand up for his sister?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it's 1 year later, and Julie is going home from college. So she's college girl now. She's going home to see her mom.
Yeah.
And they're having like dinner, and the mother asks her if she's on drugs.
Yeah.
Because Julie is looking a little rough. Like,
Yeah.
she looks like she hasn't slept. She doesn't look like she really brushed her hair. Not that it's super messy, but she just doesn't look, she looks depressed.
Mhm.
Okay? She kind of looks like me right now.
Oh my gosh.
So, so she's a little depressed, and the mom is worried. I also want to point out, I am obsessed with the 90s outfits in this movie.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Top tier. I also need to point out the absolute atrocious color of the fucking walls in this house. It is like the grossest burnt orange, and
Oh
it's
my
the
gosh.
whole downstairs of their house. Like,
Yeah.
who woke up one morning and went, what would make this house look bomb?
Yeah.
Burnt orange.
Burnt sienna.
Bare burnt orange. Let's go to Home Depot and paint every crevice of this house this color.
I feel like it was that color since like the 70s or something. And they're like, we're just going to stick with it.
I love it. It looks so good. And then they probably get like a burnt orange couch to go with it. So,
Okay, so I found something that I think is interesting.
okay. Did we find out if the name is Susie?
Well, I don't know that that a name is in the tattoo. It says the killer does not have a tattoo with a name. The tattoo is a simple tattoo of a fish hook. The tattoo is in reference to the Hook urban legend that is recounted by the
So
characters earlier.
so maybe David Egan is the one that has the tattoo.
Maybe.
I bet you it is. I bet you
Okay.
David Egan has the tattoo because, yes, as we will find out more about this character, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
We were a little confused even watching it back.
A little? I've seen this movie 5 or 6 times, no joke, and every single time I have to Google the end.
Yeah.
So, okay, so
It is Susie. I'm sorry to cut you off. It's Susie, and it is on David Egan's tattoo, which we will find out.
Susie,
Sorry, I
okay.
just had to be clear about that. That was going
No,
to drive me nuts.
don't apologize. I appreciate it. So, Julie is at her house in the nasty burnt orange room, and mom is like, "Hey, Susie, you got some mail." So she hands her a letter. It does not have a return address on it. She opens it up, and it's a little piece of paper that says, "I know what you did last summer!" Exclamation mark.
Title card. No, I'm
That's
just
right.
kidding. The title card happened a long time ago.
And then we cut to Julie sitting in a dark room, just staring at the piece of paper.
Yeah.
Which I always love when movies do stuff like that because I don't think I've ever like sat and stared off into space holding like a piece of paper that was
Right.
like, you know,
Yeah, you would be thinking whatever she's going through right now, you would be doing like while you're in the shower, while you're
or
driving.
while you're doing like the dishes or like I don't think I've ever like sat and just like,
stared at something. Like,
no,
yeah.
in the dark.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? It's just very movie.
It is very movie.
But I
because-
like it. I like that it's so dramatic.
Yeah, in real life, those are the thoughts I'd be having at 3 a.m. that keep me awake.
Oh, oh God, 1,000,000% yes. Like, you're like,
Yeah.
we're gonna solve all the world's problems at 3 o'clock in the morning in bed.
Exactly. So now Julie is going to find Helen. She wants to find Helen.
Yes.
And she goes to a department store.
It's actually Shiver's department store owned by Helen's parents.
Yes. And Elsa works there, her sister.
Yes.
So Elsa works there, Helen's sister. And Helen asked her, like, oh, I want to find Helen. What's Helen's New York number? Because she assumes Helen went to New York like she said she was going to. And Elsa's like, oh, Helen doesn't have a New York number. You should check the fragrance department. So Helen got a job there at this department store.
Yep.
And so Julie shows Helen the note. They go to find Barry because Helen and Barry have now broken up at this point.
Yeah, and it's also just a little something. The reason that Helen is working at the department store is she went to New York City and it like didn't work out. And I think they're just showing how the effects of, running over this man, the lasting effects of that
Yeah.
they're all suffering from some form of PTSD.
Right. And Barry says to them, did you write it down? I wrote down half of it, but I didn't get the first part.
You two need a mirror. You look like shit ran over twice.
You look like shit ran over twice, which is kind of a good line.
I think I might cry if someone said that to me.
I would just punch him in the face.
You need a mirror? I'd be like,
I'd
fuck,
be
that
like-
is so mean.
He's such a dick still. But yeah, Helen and him have broken up. We also find out that Julie and Ray have broken up. So like really they have all four fallen apart over the last year.
Yep.
Which, I mean, rightfully so. They literally murdered someone as far as they know.
They surely did, yes.
So Julie has been looking up who this victim was. She wanted to know who he was. She's looked into him. The other three are like, why are you doing this?
Like, we totally I would do the same thing. I'd Google the shit out of this man.
yeah, she wanted
But you got to do that shit on like a library or something. You can't do that on your own computer.
and I don't think they were doing like VPNs and all that back then. They didn't know all
Definitely
that.
not.
The
Definitely
internet was
not.
in its infancy still, at least far as like regular civilians were using it, right?
100%, yeah.
Also, Julie wanted to check his wallet before they put him in the water, and the rest of them didn't want to.
Because if they know who it is, in my opinion, then it makes it real. Now this is a real human with a real family with a real life.
Right. And
It's-
Julie, she wanted to know who he was so she can look him up and like find out who his family was and stuff.
Yes, exactly.
I see both sides.
I-
I do think not. I mean, I think the whole situation is obviously fucked up.
Yeah.
But I understand at least why.
Like
they-
the psychology behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
But she finds out that the victim was David Egan.
Right. And they found his body in a shrimp net.
Yes, he was found 3 weeks later.
And it was considered an accidental drowning.
Right. So really, they could all be off the hook.
Yeah. And
It's tough. It's tough to.
I mean, obviously, like Julie can't come to terms with the fact that she feels so racked with guilt. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
justifiably so. they all just handled this very poorly. Let's just put it that way. However, they're all teenagers. Their like frontal lobes aren't even developed yet.
Right. And so she shows them the letter. She shows Barry the letter, and he's like, why would you send a letter a year later? Which also I agree with. Like, why a year later?
Mm-hmm.
But they all start to put little pieces together here and there of why that might be
Mm-hmm.
as we go on in the movie. And Barry also immediately goes, oh, it's Max. It's Max's creepy ass. He was obsessed with you.
To be fair,
you would start thinking, who might want to harass me? Maybe it's
Mhm.
this guy who's obsessed with you that you always turn down. Could be, unfortunately.
Yep.
And Barry, I mean, I will give him this. He did act immediately.
Okay, here's the thing. Can I just say something? This is,
Yes.
I mean, this is on topic, but not on topic.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're like, I'm going into dating, okay? That's what we're talking
Yeah.
about right now. At least for me. Dating a guy like Barry,
Mhm.
and on the one hand, I like feeling protected
Sure.
and safe and knowing that like my guy is gonna, defend me.
Sure.
But the problem with dating a Barry is like they're aggressive all the time.
Yes.
And they'll eventually be aggressive to you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And they're always looking for reasons to get pissed and to
Mhm.
like lash out because they haven't dealt with whatever fucking issues they have.
Oh yeah, and they probably have trouble articulating their emotions. And you have to pay attention to not only how people are treating you, but how they treat other people too. That's something my mom taught me way early on, was like, don't just pay attention to how they treat you. How do they treat waiters? How do they treat other people?
Dude, how do they treat servers? That is
For
so
real.
big.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like I like that Barry goes right to Max and is just like, listen, you little punk.
Yeah, being
Whatever.
a hothead has like its pros and cons, I guess. Like there are some little silver linings.
You feel safe with the person that's going to defend you. However,
He's too much.
oh my god, he
Yeah.
is, and he clearly doesn't have an issue like being aggressive towards women
And just being violent in general.
Yeah, Barry.
But yeah, he goes to Max's job and grips him up. Like grabs his shirt and is like threatening him.
Rips him up.
He does. He loves gripping people up because he
Yeah.
did that to Julie earlier.
I know.
Crazy
Crazy.
person. And so Max doesn't admit to anything, but Barry's like, don't worry, he won't bother you anymore to Julian.
Yeah, because he straight up threatens Max.
Yeah, he like throws him to the ground. It's a whole thing. And
Yeah.
Max is like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So while they're on this pier, Ray shows up and he's a fisherman
He's
now.
a fisherman, just like his dad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Julie and him talk about some shit.
Yeah, Barry leaves. Helen has to go back to work, so Julie and Ray can go off to talk in privacy.
Julie's already sus of Ray. Like, I felt like she was suspicious, like, right away.
Yeah. Also, really all I wrote about this scene was that Julie tells him, I don't blame you for your actions, but I don't want to know you either.
I
And
literally
then
wrote that down, and next to her I wrote, harsh.
literally runs away.
Dude.
Like, just says that and just books it. Like, almost like Nev Campbell in Scream when she's like, she doesn't really run like that, but the run is funny.
I don't want to know you.
I don't want to know you
Dude,
either.
that's worse than, like, do you know what one of my favorite things, insult, I don't know if it's an insult, but when you say to somebody, lose my number.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah.
That's what this felt like.
Lose my number.
I love it. I
that.
can't wait to say that to someone. But I don't want to know you. Oh,
Mhm.
dude. I'm keeping that in the fucking arsenal.
Yeah, keep that in your back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So back at Max's job, I wrote Max is doing something fisherman-like. I had no idea what the fuck he was doing here.
I'm assuming like cleaning and gutting the fish or something.
He was putting them in, at first I was like, is he putting them in a cryo chamber? It looked like he was either boiling them or freezing them. Whatever he was doing was like, I have no idea.
No clue. I'm
Maybe-
not a fisherman aficionado. Is that the word?
Aficionado. Maybe some fishermen out there could tell us what Max was doing in this scene. But either way, he's at work. And all of a sudden, a dark figure in a raincoat
He looks like Paddington.
grabs a hook, like one of those manual fish hooks.
Yeah, big ass hook like
Not a fish
Blade.
hook.
It's like a little puppet.
Yeah, you know what? I should have looked up what that's called. I will at some point when
It's
you're
a
talking.
hook.
It's just a hook. But it
Yeah.
has like a handle.
Yeah, a hook.
'Cause
Yeah.
a fish hook, I think of like going on a fish line. A
Oh,
fish
like a
line?
little fishing
fishing line.
It's like a hook with a handle that you like,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know. I
Or
mean-
in this case, he does this a lot. He goes, we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
But this scene is brutal. We mentioned it earlier in this episode. He stabs this hook up underneath Max's chin
Dude.
and like pulls him down to like smash his
Like a
face into
fish.
the. Yeah.
That's literally what I think about. Like, obviously, I don't fish. I'm a vegan. I don't
Yeah.
fuck with that shit. But that's what I think about. I even when I was really little, I couldn't fish because all I could think about is how the hook is going in
Like
their
goes
little
through.
faces.
Yeah, I'm not vegan and I don't fish. I
And
don't fuck with
that
that.
hurts. They try to say that fish don't have feelings, like they do. That hurts.
I think that's bizarre to say, even as someone who is not vegan. I think it's bizarre to try to say like, "Oh, it's okay, they don't feel it." Like, what? Why would
No,
you think they don't?
exactly. It's so weird. But
That's
yeah,
wild.
he gets a hook to the face. It was very satisfying.
For Max, very satisfying. Yeah.
Loved it.
But it was gross. It was definitely I would say the most brutal kill in this movie maybe.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love how I said definitely and then maybe. It's definitely the most
Maybe.
brutal kill, maybe. You know, it's a matter of opinion. So then we cut to a little montage of Barry going ham on a heavy bag because of course he does.
Dude, he spin kicks it. He is like so aggressive. He's got it. Listen, I'm glad he's got an outlet.
Oh, he needs
He
it.
needs it. He needs an outlet, a therapist, and
You know
probably some
what?
medication.
Thanks to that heavy bag, so much drywall is being spared.
Thank God.
And hopefully some people's necks that he likes to grab. So he is in the locker room. He gets a Polaroid. And this Polaroid is of, I'm assuming, his car.
Yeah.
And it says, I know. And he is now seeing red.
He's pissed, man.
He's seeing red, bro.
Oh, yeah.
He's pissed. And so he goes out in the parking lot. He's yelling for Max. He thinks it's Max. I mean, why wouldn't he?
He also did just attack Max, so it gives him
Yeah.
a reason.
It very well could be Max retaliating.
Mhm.
And he already thought it was Max in the first place. And so he sees a car in the parking lot, across the parking lot with its lights on. And he's like, Max, you're fucking dead. And we know it's not Max because Max just died.
Yeah.
And this car now floors it. It's chasing Barry. There's a really good car stunt here.
Yeah.
Barry flies up on the hood. They go through a building. Barry gets
It's like a
launched off,
shack. It's like a small
Yeah,
shack,
like
right?
some wooden structure.
Yes. Yeah.
And Barry is now, he's incapacitated. He's alive, but he can't move. This is really scary. This is so creepy because the fisherman gets out. He's slowly walking toward Barry. And Barry is just watching him and screaming for help, but he can't move.
Yeah.
That is terrifying.
And they fade to black.
They fade to black, which is an interesting choice because that made me feel like I was watching like a TV movie.
Yeah, I don't know what the fade to black was there. That was a bit weird. But it does show that our killer, the fisherman, he's enjoying messing with them. He's
Yes.
having fun. He's playing a game with them because he could have easily killed Barry right there.
Yes, because when we come back, Barry is in the hospital and he's alive and the other three are there with him.
Mm-hmm.
So at first I was like, okay, I don't know why he wouldn't kill him here, but yes, we will find that he's fucking with them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all going over theories here of what they think is happening, who they think it is. Helen thinks maybe it's a family member of David Egan.
Mm-hmm.
And Julie Teray at one point says, no, you don't get it. There is no you and me. And then once again runs away. So she just keeps.
It's like, you know what it is? It's like, let me set this boundary, but I'm so uncomfortable setting it. I'm just going to leave.
Julie loves running away from her emotions.
Yeah.
But at least, yeah, she's having her good little one-liners before she dips.
Yeah, and she's just telling him the truth. I don't want to be with you, man.
Yeah.
But it's not like, is he begging her? I don't.
It doesn't seem like it.
No.
I think he just said, like, we can do this, or you and me. And she's like,
Let
there
me
is no
make-
you and me.
Let me make something really clear.
Yeah. And then just sprints away. I'm like, okay.
Lose my number.
So she should have said that, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Now Julie and Helen go to do a little research on their little, I'm assuming, Windows 95 laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And they're finding articles about David Egan. And can I say, like, the way that these windows were popping up on her computer, I remember the internet in 97. That was way too fast. Like,
Yeah.
you would have to wait 5 minutes for the main homepage of something to
Oh,
load.
it took forever to load.
Oh my gosh, you
With
would
like
type in-
dial up?
I would be like, wwf.com, enter. And then I would go get a snack. I'd go to the bathroom. I'd come back and it would still be like 75% loaded.
Yeah. I only had internet at the library.
Oh my gosh. I
That's
would
where
go on
that's where I'd go on wwf.com.
my mom's job. When
Yeah.
she would take us into work while she had to do things, and I would just be like, can I go on your computer?
Yeah.
And I would just be trying to look at pictures of the roster, and it would take like
forever.
the entire day to load like 2 pictures.
So true.
But anyway, they are just like flying through this research.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of articles about him.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they find out that he's survived by his mother and sister, and they find the address as well, which I was like,
Yes.
okay.
And this is Missy, I believe, is the sister's
they're going to
name.
find Missy Egan. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so they go to the house, which is a real bold move.
I mean, I wouldn't.
Helen mentions when they find the address or where she lives or whatever.
This is funny.
Like
Yeah.
that she lives in the sticks.
Yeah, and she even said, she's like, what are we going to do? Show up and be like, hey, so we killed your brother.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But I mean, basically, they don't say that, but they do show up on the property. They're met by Anne Heche.
So what's the point of them doing all this? That's the thing. I mean, I guess they're trying to figure out where the letters are coming from.
Yes, so I think they suspect that one of the family members is trying to get revenge on them by sending the letters.
That makes
And
sense.
so they're really just trying to piece together who's threatening them.
And I guess they can't go to the police now because
Yes, but I also think if they do suspect it could have been Missy, who was played by Anne Heche, um, why would they go confront her? Like they didn't come with like weapons. They didn't bring the guys with them.
they're just poking around.
It's just real bold.
It is, yeah.
But they do show up and give her fake names, which that part was smart at least.
Uh-huh.
And Anne Heche, by the way, like her real death in real life haunts me to this day.
So sad, yeah.
It is very, very sad.
She's great in this.
She is.
She's real creepy.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
And so also the whole time I'm like, okay, she is the killer. Like they did a good job of really planting a lot of different suspects. And so they tell her that their car broke down. So they go in her house and they're looking around. You know, when they show up, it looks a little Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Honestly, she has a lot of
It's the vibe.
taxidermy, a lot of like animal hides propped around and all that.
Yeah.
And there are flies everywhere. It's just like a creepy feeling. Missy is also, you know, a little suspicious of them, but she's giving off creepy vibes for sure. And they're looking at pictures around the house. So they're looking for the person that they killed. They also find out that David Egan's girlfriend died on that road a year earlier. The same road that they killed him on.
Right.
She died a year earlier, also around the 4th of July. So this part, you're actually going to have to help me through this part with when they start asking Missy about like maybe he had some friends. What was that friend's name? Because they pretend like maybe they recognize him from the picture.
Yeah, Benny Blue.
Billy Blue.
Billy Blue.
Billy Blue, they say. She's like, Billy, maybe like Billy Blue. But I think I asked you after, I was like, why were they asking her that?
Because they thought that it was this guy's friend
Right.
that is like getting revenge.
That they're seeing in the pictures, I think. So they're trying to figure out like, okay, they're just trying to get all the information they can.
Yeah, they're trying to make connections between all of these
Yeah.
different players. You
Like
know what I mean?
If it's not Missy, is it this friend?
Yes, exactly.
So they're trying to get, yeah. All they know
but
is
this
Billy
is
Blue.
why the ending is so confusing.
Yes.
Okay.
It is confusing.
Yeah.
And this is why we're like, yeah. We think we got it. We think we got it down. So now the girl's really Julie. She is just struggling in here and she's like, okay, we're going to go wait in the car. Thank you. Because she's not doing well with this.
Yeah.
She's crying. She's very upset. We get a jump scare here in the car by Missy. She comes banging on the window and she's like, hey. And she's just trying to give Helen her cigarettes, which I'm like, ew, but also it's 97.
Yeah.
And very creepy vibes.
She also points out, she's like, oh, I guess you got your car running.
And then it is even more creepy because they're like, oh yeah, we got it. And they start driving away. She's like still in the window. She's like, yeah, it's funny how that happens. And she's like walking with the car as they start driving. That's really creepy.
It is super creepy.
Like I thought she was going to grab them or stab them or something. So now Helen goes home. Her dad's like catatonic in front of the TV. Like she's like, hi dad. And he does not blink.
He's probably just like hammered.
Drunk, disassociated.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on
Long day
there.
at work.
Yeah. And she goes to the kitchen. She's pouring a can of Coke into a glass with no ice,
Oh.
which bothered me because why are you wasting a glass? Why are you dirtying up a glass for no reason?
Okay, the only time I'm going to say that you would is with ice and lime.
With ice. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you pour it in a glass if you want ice, but if you're just pouring it in the glass
That's
to
weird.
drink it,
That's weird.
that's a little weird.
It is. At least, but if you're going to drink out of the can, just wash the top of it.
Oh, please wash the top of your cans.
Absolutely.
Wipe it down with a napkin.
Something.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
So we see the front door open again. We see the shadow on the dad, that the front door is opening.
Right.
And then we see that the fisherman walks in the house. Like he has the coat on, the hook. We know it's him. The dad, of course, does not notice. Still not blinking.
Yeah.
Helen is now in her room getting dressed. And we hear this shallow breathing coming from her closet. I was like, ew. Just creeping me out. I hate that. Like hearing like someone like,
Yeah, it's
ew.
creepy. Yeah.
Helen is staring at her crown from the year prior. And a hand reaches and grabs her shoulder. And it's a little jump scare. It's Elsa, her sister. This is where I realized that they were sisters.
Because you turned and looked at me and you were like, why is she in her house?
Because Helen's like, oh, and doesn't react to it. And I'm like, why is she not alarmed? This woman is in her house. And you're like, oh, that's her sister.
That's
I'm
her
like,
sister.
oh, shit.
Yeah.
I did not catch that. But Elsa says something to her here. I think I wrote it
It's about her
down.
hair. She says something about how she's like obsessed.
She does say that she's obsessed with her hair, but she's also like, oh, is the washed up, dried out has been having a moment? Because she's staring at her crown from the year before, which I was thinking, like, girl, let it go.
Why?
But
But why
which
is
is
the
funny
sister
because
so
her name
mean?
is Elsa. She should have said let it go. But, Frozen wasn't a thing yet.
No, but that's so true. But like, why is the sister so mean to her?
Okay, I wrote down somewhere in
Like,
my
what's the
notes.
family dynamic here? What happened?
Yes, like I understand sibling rivalry and I
Hmm.
understand like when I was a kid, my sister and I would be at each other's throats. Like we were going for the jugular when we were children.
Right.
But now I would never
No,
be mean to my sister or say something to like try to hurt her
me
feelings like that.
neither. I love my sister.
No, that's
Like,
like a teen thing.
yeah.
You gotta, you have like angst toward your siblings as a teen sometimes,
I
but
guess, but the older sister looks like she's in her 20s at
she's
least.
definitely the older sister, and we know that Helen is in college. So like,
Yeah.
girl, are
Strange.
you okay?
No, she's
I don't think
not.
she is. I think she's
Mm-mm.
jealous of her. So yeah, she mentions like you're always obsessed with your hair because Helen's sitting there brushing her hair.
Her hair is extensions, by the way. She actually had to cut her hair short for a different role, and they had to use extensions for
Oh my
this.
gosh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So Helen wakes up the next day with her crown on, which at first I was like, girl, you
It's
gotta
a
let it
little
go.
obsessive. Yeah.
But it seems that she didn't put it there because she grabs it and is immediately a little shocked. And she's like, what the fuck? And her hair has been hacked away,
Uh-huh.
just like chunks missing.
Again, he's messing with them.
Yes.
He's trying to take like the things that they love away from them.
Right. Because why wouldn't you just kill her?
Yeah,
And on her mirror in lipstick, it says soon, which is like the most annoying cryptic Instagram caption.
for sure.
Coming soon. Like, okay.
It actually, like the way it was written with the lipstick or whatever, I did when I was Dark Alley. There was like we did a vignette where I was like staring into the mirror and like contemplating shit,
Yeah.
and there was like writing on the mirror, and it just reminded me of that.
Hell yeah. A
Yeah, it
little
was fun.
homage. I
Yeah.
love that.
Mm-hmm.
So Helen calls Julie. Julie immediately jumps in her car. She's driving to Helen's and hears rattling coming from her trunk on the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
This also is like a cool scene or like a gross effect.
Sure.
She pulls over, she takes a moment, but she finally does open the trunk, and we see Max's body is in the trunk and it is covered with live crabs like coming out of his mouth. Ugh.
It's gross.
It was so gross. And so now she runs into Helen's house because thank goodness she was already there, I guess.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Before we jump ahead, a truck drives by and honks at her.
Okay.
And
I
that is our fisherman.
I did not catch that.
Yes.
I was probably typing when that happened.
She when she's freaking out over a truck drives by and honks at her, that is our fisherman.
He's just fucking with her.
Yes.
Okay, and that makes so much more sense. Why? Because Helen and Barry are gonna go out to the trunk. They open the trunk,
And it's
there's
gone.
nothing there.
Yep.
Which also, I don't know how you clean that up so well. So
He's a
fast.
fisherman, man.
That's true.
He's got a big old net or something.
And maybe he already had the net in there, like the liner, so he could just go
That's it.
and just
we figured it out.
take it like a sack, like Santa, and just run away with
That's
it.
how we would do it.
And now that you mentioned he was there in a truck, that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
And so Julie also mentions that he was wearing Barry's jacket, the Max's body, that while he was in the trunk. This is the iconic, what are you waiting for, huh? Scene where she's like spinning in the road. And fun fact about this scene,
Mhm.
so Jennifer Love Hewitt talks about in an interview how a kid basically won a contest
Yeah.
was it like to direct a scene or like
Mhm.
suggest a scene?
Yes. To come
Yeah.
up with a scene.
Yeah.
Or direct a scene. But yeah, he came up with this.
A child came up with this scene
Yeah.
and it ended up being one of the most iconic scenes in the movie.
Literally one of the most like I think anyone that thinks of I Know What You Did Last Summer thinks of that scene.
Yes. That to me was so 90s to have a child direct a scene. That feels like something you would see on like Nickelodeon of like, write in to this address and you could direct a scene in Hollywood. Like, I don't think they do shit like that anymore.
Probably not. At least not on like a big ass budget like this.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah.
So was it this scene that you wrote down a line from Barry?
Yeah, so they're all kind of talking about what's happened, right? And I want to say Ray shows up and he's like, I got a letter. I got a letter too, right?
Oh.
And Barry, okay, like listen, Barry's got a lot of faults, but he also has some like pretty good liners. He goes, "You got a letter?" He's like, "I got run over and Helen had her hair cut off.
Yeah.
Seems a little unbalanced."
Yeah.
Like
That was a good one.
that was a
good
great
one.
line.
Oh, also important to note, when Ray shows up, Barry literally says, "You're gonna die," and punches him in the face because he
Yeah.
thinks it's him.
He thinks it's Ray, which I understand why he thinks it's Ray.
Yeah, he's like, "Fisherman, wait a minute.
Yep.
You're a fisherman? You're gonna die." So now they realize that when they're chatting here that Elsa might have been in the same class as David Egan because of how old he was. And they're like, "Oh, maybe we can check her yearbook. We can find out who Billy Blue is."
Mm.
And so we're going to go take the yearbook to Elsa. And they're trying to take matters into their own hands here. You know, they're going to lure him to the parade. They're trying to lure the fisherman to the parade because Helen is going to be there. And they know that he must know that Helen is going to be there.
Right.
Ray is like, "You guys sound like a bunch of vigilantes."
I mean, they do.
And Julie is like, "Ray, it's 4th of July. This is his day."
Okay.
And we
you
were
and
like,
I were both going, what?
she's like, "Whatever he's planned, he's going to do it today." And we were like, "Girl, based on what?"
Yeah, like, okay, I know you've done some research, but how do you know that this is his day? Is it because it's been a year?
I think okay, so I think what they're using here is it's been a year since they thought that they killed him, and it's been a year since his girlfriend, 2 years now, since his girlfriend would have died on that same road on 4th of July.
Okay,
So
fair.
every year something bad is happening, and now he's getting revenge. So it must be because we're almost to the date.
But Julie, like, declaring it as fact, I don't know why, it just cracked me up.
The fact that she said, "This is his day," I'm like, this is the first year he's doing this. So we
Yeah.
have not established a pattern yet.
It's not tradition.
Right. So now Helen and Barry, they're at the parade. Helen is in like the float or whatever.
She's on the float and she's really scared. Like, she's there. You can see her POV. She sees other fishermen. She's kind of looking around. Because this is a fisherman town. There's lots of people dressed in that fisherman garb, right?
Yeah.
But eventually she sees one up on like a balcony or like on a roof.
Yeah.
And he looks sus.
He has
And he has the hook.
He has the hook.
Yeah.
So chances are that was him.
Mm-hmm.
Barry sees someone that he thinks is a fisherman. He ends up attacking an innocent old man.
Oh, the old man looks so scared.
He's like on the ground, like, "Oh."
Oh, I felt bad for him.
I know. And so Julie is going back to Missy's house because she wants to show her the yearbook. That's what it was. Missy and Elsa also, she thinks we're in the same grade.
Yes.
So she's going to show Missy the yearbook to see if she can point out Billy Blue. And Missy comes out with a knife. Also, the animal carcasses are all over again outside, like hanging up and stuff. So like she obviously is like a hunter or something.
Yeah, she's like gutting a deer or something.
Yeah. And but Missy's clearly working, but it does seem a little sus as she comes out with this knife.
Yeah, because she walks out. It's really like kind of intimidating.
A little aggressive, or I don't know. Maybe we're just projecting, but it seems like something could go down here.
Definitely intentionally meant to look like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Julie starts asking Missy about what happened to her brother, and while Missy is gutting a fish, by the way.
Yeah.
And Missy is like, "Look, I know what happened." And Julie's like, "You do?" And she's like, "Yeah, my brother took his own life. Like he left a note, so I know."
Right. And actually, in real life, her brother did pass away by apparently.
And Haish's brother?
Yeah, and I think that this was probably,
Before this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's putting a personal touch on that you probably don't want to.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And so Julie is like, "What did the note say? Like, how do you know?" And Missy tells her it said, she shows her. She has the note. And it's in the same writing that Julie's note was in and says, "I will never forget last summer."
Mm-hmm.
So here, this is the note is it the note that she found on her brother's body?
I believe it. I believe yeah, I don't know if it was because he was thrown off the cliff. So I don't know if it was found on his person, because if it was found on his person, it would have been soaking wet.
Right.
So I'm assuming he left it in a room. Maybe he left. The point is, it was a note that was left.
Yes. And it's definitely from the same person.
It definitely is. And it's a note. Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think like the big thing here is discovering that the letter has the same handwriting as the "I know what you did last summer" letter.
Right. And Julie is trying to convince Missy this is not a note, this is a death threat.
Which I really felt like she just is really overstepping. I mean, as like somebody is just finished saying like, "My brother took his own life," like, and for you to then you're some stranger,
right,
and to be like, "Actually, that is so insensitive."
It's very upsetting. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I understand. I mean, listen, she's a teenager and she's whatever.
And she's feeling the urgency of like someone's trying to actively kill us.
That is true.
So, and she might think like the killer's coming for you too.
I think you're right. I think she thought that maybe the killer was coming for Missy.
Yeah.
Which Yeah.
And Julie's like, I saw him. He has this tattoo. And she describes it. And Missy's like, he doesn't have a tattoo.
Yeah, that's right. And she says it's Susie. The name was Susie. And she's like, he never had a,
He
my
didn't
brother
have,
didn't have that.
yeah, he didn't have that tattoo.
Yeah.
So Missy's upset. She leaves. Okay. Now we are back at the pageant where last year's queen, Helen, is being presented. And same as the beginning of the movie, Barry is watching from that balcony overhead.
Yep.
Okay. Helen, while she's sitting there just observing everything, she sees the fisherman come up behind Barry. And she rightfully freaks the fuck out and starts screaming for help.
Dude, okay, the scene, like, so she's like freaking out and she's running towards him. For some reason, like all of these people jump in to like hold her back.
Why did they hold her back? She starts running through the aisle and they're like, no.
We literally both, I think you turned to me and you were like, well, she's a hysterical woman. So of course she has to be held
She's
back.
a hysterical woman. We must stop her.
It was like, I just didn't understand like why they all like held her back. Like she wasn't threatening anyone. She obviously looked distressed and she was running towards her boyfriend.
Why wouldn't you let her leave? If you thought she was being disruptive, that was the
Dude.
only thing I thought of why they'd be like, okay, like trying to calm her down. But
Besides it just being a plot device.
right.
You know what I mean?
Why wouldn't you just let her go?
Yeah.
So I actually think they made more sense of this in the parody version in Scary Movie because in that parody scene, Shannon Elizabeth is acting out a scene on stage.
Right.
So the audience just thinks that she's acting. And
Which
they
makes
think-
more sense.
That
than,
makes more sense.
Right. But Barry
So-
gets it. He gets hooked.
He gets gutted.
Yeah.
And a cop now goes upstairs with Helen. There's no trace of Barry, which also, how do you not, unless he put a tarp down? I'm like, there's so much blood. If you gut someone, how is there not a trace?
I know, except for like the railing.
There was a tiny little drop on the banister.
I mean, this guy is like Dexter level.
Right. Like
know?
he really is a pro because he must, I mean, he's a fisherman. Maybe he knows how to keep the cleanup to a minimum because that's his job.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think
I think that's a good way to describe
He
him.
put a tarp down.
Yeah.
He had to have.
Let's go with a tarp.
So now the cop is taking Helen home. So she's in the back of the cop car, which immediately I'm like, oh shit.
So
she's
bad place
locked.
to be, man.
She's locked back there.
When Buffy was in the back of the cop car, she used her feet and kicked the back thing out. But I guess you can't be doing that as Helen.
Helen's about to do that too, almost.
Almost.
Not the back windshield though. But the cop is like laughing at her and mocking her. He's like, oh, did a fisherman cut off your hair too? Like, why are you being a dick?
Because he's a cop.
He doesn't believe her. He does not believe her
Yeah.
about even the story that she's telling about.
He's a stereotypical like, you know, cop in all of these fucking horror movies that are just
Yeah.
like, I don't believe the kids, they're probably on drugs. It's
Exactly.
just
And
like,
he's like, I've heard this story before, but in this story, the guy had a hook for a hand.
to be fair, there is the urban legend, et cetera, but
Sure.
her level of hysteria warranted a little more investigation.
I understand why he wouldn't think someone got killed because
There's
you
no
would-
blood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Still.
why you gotta be a dick about it?
Because he's just an asshole.
So while they're driving, there's a car blocking this alleyway, and it looks like someone is having car trouble.
Mhm.
So the cop gets out. It's of course the fisherman who guts him with that hook. And now Helen is stuck in the backseat of that car. Those doors are not opening from the inside, right?
Yeah.
She does manage to kick out the side window, which I also imagine would be really hard to do, especially in a cop car.
Yeah, I don't think you're doing that.
But maybe a 97, whatever, small town, I don't know.
Maybe she's got a little bit of that Slayer strength.
Yeah, there you go. And so Helen makes it to the store where Elsa is inside, their parents' store.
Yeah, Shivers.
Shivers.
The department store. Yep.
Elsa's inside. Helen's banging on this door. Elsa's annoyed.
She is. She takes her time. Like she's like, what the hell is my sister doing?
Which I'm also annoyed by Elsa. I'm like, girl, like, I get it. You don't like your sister.
But this is like next level.
Why do you think she is screaming and banging on the door? Why are you just taking your sweet ass time?
Exactly.
She does get the door open at the last second. And I wrote, why are you just so nonchalant about your sister being hysterical? Because even if you hate your sister, wouldn't her urgency at least make you think, oh, I need to, for my own safety, listen to her and lock all these doors?
100%.
So, Helen's like, you got to lock the door, go but lock the back door.
She also says why are you here? Why are you coming to this door? The entrance on Broadway is open.
Okay.
So
she's like, you
this
got to go open, or you got to go lock that door.
this is exactly how the fisherman is able to get in because the front door is open.
Right.
Or the back door or whatever door.
Yeah, some door is open. So Elsa goes to lock this other door and then turns around and, of course, gets slashed.
Get
hooked. She gets hooked, yeah. And so now he is dragging her body. This is gross too. the fisherman is dragging Elsa's body. It looks like the hook is like through her torso, like through her rib cage, just like dragging her along the floor. It
Ugh.
looks so gross.
Yeah, agreed. Gross.
Helen is now like looking through the store, going to look for Elsa, probably. Like, where did she go?
And there are like mannequins with like plastic covering them.
Yeah. And of course, one of them is the fisherman for a little jump scare.
Big jump scare here.
I was like, how did he get under that plastic? Not only so quickly, but so quietly.
I have a little like note on that scene.
Yeah.
I want to say it might even be, I don't know if it was quoted, but hold on one second. I don't know what the guy's name is that plays the fisherman. I think it's Muse Watson. That's it. Okay. So I have a little note about that scene. Muse Watson, who is our fisherman, the actor, I guess him and Sarah Michelle Gellar were like dying laughing between that scene because they knew like that how good it would get the audience. Like it was such a
Oh,
good jump scare that
yeah.
they just had like so much fun with it and we're like
Oh, I
laughing and
love
like kind
that.
of being like, oh, we're really gonna get him, you know?
Yeah.
I think Muse Watson, he's said quite a few times in some interviews that he really enjoyed working with the cast, and they didn't want him to avoid the other cast like some slasher movies. The actors that play like maybe not all of them, but certainly there was a couple of Friday the 13th where the actor who plays Jason avoids the rest of the cast to keep that suspense and
Yeah.
tension. Where they didn't want that with Muse Watson, they wanted him to like be close with the
Yeah.
cast, and they were. And I guess Jennifer Love Hewitt, when they met, she made him like some kind of pottery thing. It was
Hmm.
really
That's
sweet.
cute.
Yeah, and even Sarah Michelle Gellar, I guess, like it was just really sweet to him, and he really sings the praises of the cast, which I think is pretty cool.
That is really cool. That's how I would want to do it. I feel like working on a big project or really any type of project, the community that you build during that time is huge.
Yeah, it's
That's
like summer camp
and it's like a huge part of the fun part.
for sure. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Helen is now running away from this fisherman and she's pulling herself up on what looks like a dumbwaiter. It's like a thing
Yeah,
that you would bring merch, whatever,
yeah, like your
inventory up.
inventory. Yeah, yeah.
And so while the fisherman is like slashing at her feet, she gets up to the second level. And of course, fisherman is up there.
Mm-hmm.
He is one step ahead of them pretty much this entire movie. And she yeets herself out a window.
And we even said it. I said she's got to throw herself out the window here.
And then she sure
And
did.
she did. I really just want to rewind really
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah.
Elsa, the death of Elsa, originally was shot from behind without any blood appearing on the glass. But the producer, I believe his last name is Feig, he was like, this is like medically impossible. So they ended up reshooting it and using visual effects of blood splattering on the glass
Okay.
because, yeah, they needed a little more
They're like, something's gonna.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, that makes sense. So now Helen is in an alleyway and she can see freedom. This scene kills me. It's so sad.
Dude, I think this might be the scariest scene in the movie for me because it's that thing of like a false sense of security.
Ugh.
Like you feel like you're safe, like, oh my God, there's people there, I'm gonna be okay. And then he just comes up from behind in the alley and she fights for her life.
Yeah.
She fights right to the end
Hmm.
and he gets her.
It's so tragic
It is.
because it's a false sense of hope.
Yes.
She sees the parade. She sees the people. They're right there, like they're almost within arm's reach.
Yep.
But it's so loud and it's a parade. There's fireworks going on. It's the 4th of July. So she's getting murdered like feet away from these people and no one can hear her.
Yes.
Ugh.
And it's very I wonder if what was the movie that we did, Trick or Treat? There's a scene like that in Trick or Treat
Yes.
where
With the
someone is like
vampire.
running towards the or like they're so close to the
Yep.
parade and they can't get to it. Yeah.
Yep. That sticks with me. That disturbs me more than seeing like Max get hooked through the chin.
Me
Like
too,
it
because
just
because it feels real.
yes, and it just feels unsettling and oh, you're like you're so close. You're
Even
almost there.
in the new Scream 6, I think it was, they do a scene like that where she's in an alleyway and she's really not that far from people, but
Mhm.
she gets killed in an
Yeah.
alleyway.
One thing that does drive me a little crazy about the scene is that she stops and turns before she gets to the people. And I'm like, why? Why are you stopping and turning? I do feel like they could have done this scene without her stopping and turning, where the fisherman just reaches her before she gets to the opening
Mhm.
and like not making her look silly by stopping.
Right.
Because why did you stop?
Agreed. Yeah.
But I feel like in 97, they weren't really worried about stuff like that. It wasn't
No.
as cliche yet.
No. Yeah. And it is like it's textbook slasher,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. So I wrote, she finds Ray. Is that Julie? I didn't write.
Julie does.
Okay.
Yes. 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 Julie
I'm like,
finds
who am I
Ray.
talking about?
Julie goes to the boat. She goes to the pier and
Yes.
she finds Ray on a boat, and his boat on the side says Billy Baloo. And she's like, you. And immediately she thinks that Ray is the killer.
Yeah. I think she was already a little suspicious.
She's been sus about him for a
But
while.
why wouldn't you put that together and be like, okay, it's you?
Okay, but her cell was
Yeah,
so like, like I think what is so funny to me is like the characters don't have honest conversations with each other because none of them trust each other.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like Barry doesn't trust anyone. He seems to trust the girls.
Barry?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Barry seems to trust the girls.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust anyone else.
Yeah.
Ray, I feel like he's kind of like a golden retriever energy.
I can
You
see
know?
that. Yeah.
Helen, I think, is just scared.
Mm-hmm.
The Julie does not trust a single person.
No.
Yeah.
And so she runs away. Ray is now chasing after her.
Mm-hmm.
He ends up getting like clotheslined by a different fisherman
That's right.
that's on the dock. And she's like, help me, you know.
Yeah, and he's like, get on the boat, girl, get on the boat. We'll call the
Hurry.
police.
Yeah.
No. No.
Inside.
No, I would be running for my life.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Not getting on your boat.
Yeah. Like for not trusting anyone, she sure trusted this guy real quick. But I think it was also in a panic.
Panic. Yeah, she's panicked for sure.
Because she's convinced that Ray is the killer.
Yeah.
So she gets on the boat, and inside she sees that not only does this guy have, you know, the fisherman attire, but
Mhm.
he's a fisherman, so maybe a
Mhm.
coincidence. He also has a bunch of articles about a lot of the previous deaths.
And pictures of our main players.
He has the metal thing,
Like the
we
pendant
see.
thing.
The what did you call it? A keepsake.
The keepsake.
The
Yeah, from the
keepsake
beginning.
the very beginning of the movie, the one that David Egan was playing with when he was sitting on the cliff.
Yep.
And then he straight up says like something about it being 4th of July and all. You kids can run people over and get away with murder, things like that. And he has the fucking hook. This is the killer.
And he is a good-looking killer in the sense like he looks scary.
Oh, okay. I was like, okay. I thought you were calling him like a zaddy. I'm like, do we have another zaddy?
No, it came out wrong. But like they cast such a good
Yes.
guy to play this
Yeah.
because he really does capture that like very unsettling. He could be a super nice, charming guy if he wanted to be, but he could also just look sinister as hell, and
Yeah.
he does.
Yes.
Ooh, it's scary.
I agree with that. So we find out that this is Ben Willis. Okay.
Yes.
He now is driving the boat with Julie still on it. Okay. And Ray is in a smaller boat trying to catch up with them in like a little speedboat. I don't know. I don't really know boats,
Me
but
neither. Not well versed in boating.
it has a motor. It's a
I
motorboat.
never get on a boat ever again. I'll be happy, honestly.
So Ray does finally get on the boat, and Ben is like, "Welcome aboard, Ray," with the hook in his hand. Like some of the dialogue here, I'm like, yes. So they start
Like
fighting.
the fucking Three Musketeers.
Yes.
Shh.
They start fighting, and he keeps hitting Ray. He hits Ray multiple times with like
The-
this upward motion.
Like almost like he has like a fencing sword, and he
Yeah.
like backhands him with the hook.
so like the opposite way that you would try to kill someone. I'm like, you
Yep.
could have stabbed him multiple times by now, but
For
you're
sure.
just backhanding him over and over. And so at one point in the middle of the fight, Julie pops up from being like beneath the deck. I don't know all the boat terms,
Yeah, she's like definitely yeah.
but
She's
she pops out and she's like, Ray! Ray is distracted, looks over, and then gets knocked overboard
yes, but backhanded.
by a backhand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, why did you distract him?
I know. And then she starts like running through the bottom of the ship
Yeah.
and like trying to hide. So she's so far at the bottom of the ship there's water, and I don't really understand why there's water in the bottom of the boat. Like that to me it seems like a red flag, but I know nothing about boats. But she's trying to hide in the underside of like
Well, she finds a freezer or something that has a bunch of ice in it. That was ice, right? That she starts digging through.
yes, in real life it was gelatin. They made it out of gelatin
Okay.
so that she's not actually cold. But
Yeah.
it's essentially where, because this is like a fisherman's boat, so I would imagine it's where they keep like the fish and the
Right.
crabs cold.
Right.
I just didn't understand why there was water in the bottom of the boat.
Maybe the ice was melting?
I don't know. To me, I'm
I
like,
don't know
oh, it's like
either.
Titanic. I have no idea.
Maybe it was sinking. I don't know.
So she starts she does. She climbs into the freezer because he's coming after her. And so she climbs into this, we'll just call it a freezer. And she starts pushing the ice up against the door to like weight it, right? So that he can't get to her.
Yeah.
But as this is all happening and she's kind of like crawling through the ice, she starts discovering bodies.
Yes. I'm assuming these are the bodies of Helen and Barry.
I think so, but they were it was really hard to tell because they were like dummies.
Yeah.
So it was hard to decipher who they
it
were.
could have been Elsa. Not exactly sure.
Yeah.
But there's a little jump scare there. She's obviously gonna get out of there immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So the fight now proceeds. They're up on the top of the top deck. Top
Yeah,
deck?
yeah,
that's
top
a real
deck.
thing.
Yeah, the deck. Yeah.
And Ben has a nice little one-liner here. Ray is back, of course. He says, "When you leave a man for dead, make sure he's really dead." And he brings his arm up. He brings the hook up. He's gonna slash Julie, and a rope just happens to like kind of get stuck around his arm.
Yeah.
And then Ray cuts another part of it or something that makes this rope around his hand like fly up. I'm
Yes.
assuming it has something to do with the sail.
Yeah. Your guess is as good as mine.
And then he gets yoinked up into the sky. It like rips off one of his hands.
Cuts his hand right off,
He's
dude.
dangling.
His hook hand, man.
His hook hand, and then he flies into the water.
Yes.
So okay, that was
It was pretty cool.
It's cool, but I'm like, you're lucky that happened because Ray didn't like put the rope around his hand.
No, it definitely was just happenstance.
Just a little coincidence.
Yeah.
So that's good.
It was very cool, cool little death scene there.
And I wrote down now he really can have a hook for a hand.
Yeah.
If he's alive. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he will.
We'll see. So we are now later in the evening. The cops are here investigating. The cop is like, "Don't worry, the body will show up." They usually do. He could still be alive. We don't know.
Yeah.
And then we see that the hand holding the hook still is like stuck to a net that they're bringing out of the water.
Yep, exactly.
And then we cut to 1 year later.
Well, first, before we cut
Oh,
to
yeah.
1 year later, the cop straight up asks them, he goes, "Do you have any idea why this guy would like want to kill you?" And they're like, "No."
Yeah.
And they have this like heart to heart conversation,
Mhm.
and it's so oddly placed.
Oh, yeah.
Like they have a relationship conversation, and Ray's like, "I love you, Julie. I've always loved you, Julie." Like it's
no one gets me like you do. And
It's
she's
just
like,
so like high school. I don't know. It just seemed so out of place with everything that was happening.
it feels like such weird dialogue after you just
Like
went
I ain't
through
thinking
that.
about our relationship, dude. This guy just tried to kill us.
And also saying like no one gets me like you do. Like I guess you guys just went through a lot of trauma together.
It just was like
And no one else has ripped off a fisherman's hand with this rope before like you have.
yeah, like I totally understand why they included something like that because this is geared towards teenagers.
Right.
And I feel like when I saw this when I was 12, 13, I thought it was so romantic. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, they're going to be in love." You right? As a grown-up, I watch it and I'm like, "Okay, this is pretty funny."
Yeah. And it's gonna continue because 1 year
Like they are
later-
trauma bonded.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, actually, I think you guys both need therapy.
So 1 year later, Julia's back at school, but now she's having a great time.
She
okay?
is so happy. Her hair's bouncy.
Yeah, she doesn't have like the little stringy hair anymore.
Yeah, she's
That's
talking-
how you know she's not depressed.
Oh, dude, when the hair. Look at my hair right now. I think
I think your hair looks good.
Oh my god, okay. Well, yeah, her hair is like bouncy. She's smiling. She's talking to Ray on a cordless phone. She's like, "Oh, I love you. Oh, don't worry, you're gonna be able to ravish me in a couple of weeks."
Oh my gosh, the dialogue is so corny. It was killing me.
It was pretty funny, yeah. But she's talking to Ray and she's like about to have a shower and she's like, "I'm wearing a towel."
Ray, stop. And so one of her friends is like, "Hey girl, you have mail."
Mhm.
She gets a letter. We see that it has her name on the envelope. Same paper, same writing, same marker. It looks like as the I know what you did last summer letter.
Yep.
But this one is for a pool party.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, "Phew, you know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go into the steam room." I assume it was a steam room because if it was a shower, they had like every faucet on with like the hottest water.
Dude, it was a shower.
It was a shower.
It was a shower.
I thought she went to a steam room because it's full.
There's
of steam.
so much steam.
Yeah. And we see "I still know" is written on the fog in the glass.
Oh boy.
And then the final scene is a jump scare. Presumably the fisherman jumps through the glass.
Boom.
And the movie's over.
The end.
The end.
Do you want to hear what the alternate ending is?
Yes.
Okay. So the film originally had a different ending, where Julie is chatting with Ray online. She gets the pool party invitation, and then another person starts a chat with her, typing in, "I still know." Then the killer jumps out on her. And I guess this ending was used in the teaser trailer for the sequel.
Wow.
Yeah. I like this ending better.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. I like the jump scare
Yeah.
right into the credits, you know?
Mhm.
Um, I love this movie. It's a fun slasher.
It's fun, it's campy, it's cheesy in all the right ways for the late 90s.
Yeah.
And
It brings me back to the 90s for sure.
oh yeah, I love it. I love this movie. We should discuss the ending and what happened.
Okay.
Cuz a lot of people are like, "What?"
Dude, I
What?
Google it every single time I watch this movie. I'm like, wait a
Yeah.
second, what the fuck? Who was this guy then?
Yes.
So, shall we break that down?
Yes.
Okay, and viewers, listeners, if you already know this, apologies, but I feel like it's worth discussing.
Yeah.
So, David Egan was the guy at the beginning of the movie that was like chilling on the cliff, like contemplating life.
Drinking and not doing well.
And he had the keepsake.
Yes.
He was mourning the death of Susie, who was his girlfriend. They were in a car accident together. He survived, she did not.
A year prior on that same road, 4th of July.
Exactly. And
Susie was Ben Willis's daughter.
that's right. And Ben is our killer.
The fisherman, yes.
The fisherman. So Ben actually goes and seeks revenge and tosses David off the side of the cliff.
Yes.
Okay, that's why he was in the road that night
And why he had the keepsake.
and why he had the keepsake. So he's walking down the road. He gets hit by our crew.
Mhm.
He's not dead. Okay.
Right.
Um,
Also, how did he survive that? Because he was in the water, like floating with the seaweed and like,
dude, he wants revenge, man. It's like,
Yeah.
I guess when you are just that determined,
yeah.
even drowning ain't gonna keep you down. I don't know.
Mhm.
So the whole point of all of this was Ben, one, is pissed that his daughter has died
Uh-huh.
at the hands of this kid who, to be fair, he didn't intentionally kill his daughter.
Right. But if he wants someone to blame.
He wants someone to blame, and who knows, maybe the guy was drinking. I have no idea. I can't remember if they mentioned that. But and then Ben's like, "Oh, so not only am I going to get revenge for my daughter's death, now I'm going to like fuck with these kids who tried to kill me
Right.
and presumably left me for dead."
Right.
That's literally his whole angle.
Yeah.
That's his motivation.
Mm-hmm. And so was Missy in the car with them too? Is that how she got tied in or no? Because we know that she was friends with them.
Missy.
David Egan's sister. Or was she just involved because that was his sister?
I think just because it was
Okay.
the sister.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
And so they think it's David Egan that they killed because that's the body that got washed up to shore. And so they just put two and two together. But really, David Egan just happened to get killed the same day that they think they killed this other man.
And it was actually Ben who killed David Egan.
Right.
And that Ben is the one that they hit with the car.
Right. And so that makes perfect sense to me now that you say that, but I don't think that's clear when you're watching
It's
the
not.
movie.
I mean, it isn't to me. Maybe you guys, maybe it's clear to you guys, but I was so confused by all these different players and characters that they were introducing. I was like, and then they don't really clear it up at the end. So I was like, so why is this guy so mad?
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes I like when movies don't spell it out to you
Me too.
and show you a bunch of flashbacks and
Me
like
too.
hold your hand through it. You got to put it together yourself. But I do feel like they could have done a little better at making it clear what happened to us.
Yes.
I
was confused.
I think knowing what we know now, knowing that was the ending, going back, I can start to find little things we can pull and pinpoint. Like, okay, we see that Ben had the keepsake in the boat right before he reveals that he's the killer to Julie. So
Right.
that's the only thing that I can think of that would have tied him to, oh, he must have killed David Egan.
Unless there's also a possibility that we missed it because we do take notes while we're watching it. So
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe there was a scene that like, listen, our listeners are so smart with this stuff. Like I'm sure somebody is going to be like,
Yeah.
actually this is, and please if you know, tell us.
Yeah, I think we did a good job trying to look up what the ending was. So I feel like we would have seen it if there was another obvious thing.
Right.
I think a lot of people have questions about this ending, so I don't think that's uncommon.
No, I agree. And I think this movie gets compared to Scream a lot because it came out a year after Scream. It was written by Kevin Williamson. But I think what is so different, one, it's not meta. This is just a straight up slasher.
Right.
And two, it is a little more complex in the sense of like what the motives of the killer is, why it's happening. I think Scream is a little bit more to the point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
And
actually, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna ask you. You told me. You said that this movie was actually written before Scream, right?
Yes.
That's
Yep.
really interesting.
He couldn't sell it until the success of Scream.
Mhm.
Um, so a little interesting note, when this movie, when the trailer of this movie came out, it was like mentioned that Kevin Williamson wrote it and he was the creator of Scream. And that was a big deal because Miramax owns Scream. And this was a Columbia picture.
Mhm.
So Miramax actually sued Columbia Pictures for even mentioning Scream as advertisement, and they had to pull all their advertising for this movie and redo it because they could
Damn.
not mention Scream at all. It doesn't matter that Kevin Williamson wrote it. It was a completely different studio.
They were like, "You are not gonna ride our coattails."
No, exactly, dude.
Wow.
Exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting.
I know. Pretty crazy, right?
I think so.
But I love Kevin Williamson so much. I just really am I'm fond of his writing style.
Mhm.
I think he does mystery really well. Like
Yeah.
even in the Vampire Diaries, it's all like a mystery.
Mhm.
You're trying to like figure out, the intentions of characters and who's this and blah blah blah. And I think in Scream and in I Know You Did Last Summer, he does a good job of that.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Really love the movie. I think it's just fun.
Yes, I agree. Love this movie. Super nostalgic. Let us know what you think. If you're watching on YouTube, write in the comments. We love reading YouTube comments.
Heck
Our
yeah.
YouTube is at Chainsaw Girls Pod. So is our Instagram and our TikTok.
Yeah, pretty much all of our social medias at Chainsaw Girls Pod. You could email us, chainsawgirlspod@gmail.com.
We also have a Patreon. Definitely check it out. We do extended episodes there. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the movie and other things we referenced in this episode. In the extended, we do bonus episodes. We do quarterly live watch alongs.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of stuff on there. It's fun. Come
It
join
is.
us.
Yeah, we love our Patreon. We love our patrons.
Our patrons. And we're actually going to shout out our top tier patrons right now, starting with Jonathan W., Rob V. I'm just going to say this name is I Would Like To because it's a long name.
Mhm.
David T., Heather D., Franchise Driller, Josh N., Millie C., Adrian G. It kind of has like a little rhythm to it.
Mhm.
Chris S., Alexis T., Adam VL, and James C.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much for all of your support. Seriously, we could not do this without you. We love you.
Thank you so much for being patrons. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Okay,
Okay, bye.